Hello students, now we start the part 2 of our session 3, that is international relation. Part 1 we have done international institutions, right? So part 2 we will be discussing the other stuff, right? Quickly we'll start. Okay, so just to say, today we'll be discussing current specific news, summits initiative and bilateral news is some of them, right? So first start the nuclear weapon free zones. So what are the nuclear weapons free zones? So basically they are the regional approach to strengthen the global non-proliferation disarmament norms and the consolidate the international effort towards peace and stability. So we'll read about some of the treaties that place some of the areas of the world under the nuclear free weapon free zones, right? India is a nuclear weapon state, right? But there are different treaties which are there. For example, this particular area is different treaties there. Africa is governed by different treaty. Oceania is this particular Asian area is different treaty. We'll discuss 4 treaties. This area are different treaties. These are different treaties. So these are the nuclear weapon free zones, right? Then nuclear weapon state: India, Pakistan, China, Russia. You can see nuclear weapon state and other countries. Nuclear sharing states are which countries? Basically, you can see those NATO countries. Okay, so NATO countries, you can see nuclear sharing countries. These are the NATO countries, right? And NPT treaty region. So they are the dependent. They don't have the nuclear weapon on their own, but they have the access to they have the collective defense mechanism, right? So we'll discuss some of the treaties that decide the nuclear weapon free zones of different nations. For example, starting with the Latin America, that I told you, Latin America region, right? This particular region. So this one is Treaty of Tlatelolco. I think T is silent there. So Tlatelolco. So it is one of the first treaty of this kind covering the populated area of the world, but around 40% live in the nuclear free zone. Now around 40%, but it was for a first treaty, 1967, right? So it established the nuclear free zone in the Latin America and the Caribbean countries. So this particular place, Tlatelolco, Tlatelolco is in the Mexico City, right? This much you need to know. So it has the area over the Latin America regions. This one is Oceania region. So we have the Treaty of Rarotonga. So Treaty of Rarotonga, which entered into force in 1986, established a nuclear free zone in the South Pacific. So area of South Pacific. So what is this? Where is this Rarotonga? Rarotonga is in the next slide. We'll see Rarotonga is in the Cook Island. One more location you can see here of Cook Island. Okay, so Cook Island location you can see here with relative to Australia. So it's in the South Pacific. So it is Treaty of Rarotonga. Next is the Bangkok Treaty. Bangkok location we have already done in the first discussion, right? On the which river? It is Chao Phraya. So this particular region, Asian region, is governed by the nuclear free zone by Bangkok Treaty. Southeast Asian Nuclear Weapon Free Zone Treaty. Okay, the Bangkok Treaty. Next is Treaty of Pelindaba. Treaty of Pelindaba establishes an Africa nuclear free zone. So Pelindaba is a place in the South Africa near the Pretoria region. So it establishes a nuclear free zone in the African continent. Africa, and many of the countries have ratified it, some have signed it, and there are some others. Okay, so you have to remember the nuclear free zones, different places. Just to remind what we have discussed: Treaty of Tlatelolco, Treaty of Pelindaba, Treaty of Bangkok, and Treaty of Rarotonga. Actually, these treaties does not have their own name. That is why I have not discussed that. Right? Okay. Next is we're going to see Cloud Act. So Cloud Act is clarifying lawful overseas use of the Data Act. So it is the Cloud Act is of the USA Parliament, which establishes the data sharing with the other countries. So primarily Cloud Act amends the storage communication particular to allow federal law enforcement to compel US based technology company via warrant to provide the requested data stored on the servers regardless of whether US or the foreign soil. So Cloud Act is basically telling the technological companies in the USA to give the data to the government under this particular act, whether this data is stored in India or in a foreign soil or in the USA. Cloud Act. Next is Falak system. Actually, it should have been the defense, but I've covered it here. So it's a radar system of Iran. Falak is a mobile radar and a vehicle housing a control room, which is improved version of the Gamma system of Russia origin. So just have to remember Falak system if it comes in the news. Falak system is associated with the Iran. That's it. Weapon defense system. Okay. Next is Stena Impero. Stena Impero. So it was in a lot of news because Iran has basically seized this particular British vessel, and it created a lot of international uproar. And the US is always trying the ways to tackle Iran, right? So a merchant vessel traveling through the Strait of Hormuz. So Iran sees this British flagged vessel. They have released the people on the humanitarian grounds, and they say they have violated the international laws. You can see what happened. It was moving like that, and Iran thought they are breaching their own territory and some things. You just need to know if the question comes is Steno Imperio. So it was a merchant vessel which was seized by the Iran. That's it. Quickly we are covering, right? Many things we have to cover. Next is Space Policy Directive, SPD4. Space Policy Directive. Now, when the Trump came into house, he said that we will create a space force, military space, so space as the news. Last year, the news of militarization of the space was in news. That the militarization of the space is happening. India also conducted the Mission Shakti. We'll discuss Mission Shakti in this month's defense also. So Mission Shakti happened. US is talking about a space force, right? So this space directive is created by to create a military space force, the new arena of the space battle. So we'll have a force that will, if the war happens in the space, we need to have that kind of forces. Next is AMLD5. So AMLD5, it's a European Union. It's in the European Union Anti-Monetary Money Laundering Directive. It's of European Union origin. Okay, it's a bunch of norms to make the crypto transaction more secure. It has a lot of stringent KYC regulation and self-declaration law which every holder of the crypto wallet must adhere to. Okay, so AMLD 5. Remember that. So from the name itself, Anti-Money Laundering Directive. So it is by the European Union. Just remember that. Because you see, I told you, international relation, you need to know a lot of horizontal stuff. Next is Inter-Maritime Security Mission. So Inter-Maritime Security Mission, it's a US-led mission, you can see here. Okay. It was formed in September 2019 in Bahrain by United Kingdom, Australia, Albania, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, UAE and United States, which leads the initiative. So USA lead this particular initiative. You can see in the context of Steno Imperio, you should see this particular initiative. Okay. It's vital to secure the freedom of all international shipping to navigate the Strait of Hormuz without delay. Getting my point? Steno Imperio was seized by Iran. So they're saying that they have formed this particular mission, they construct a mission or an organization. They're trying to say that there should be freedom of navigation. So remember, it is not UN-led, first of all. There is no involvement of WMO. There is no involvement of IMO. It's a US-led initiative. So countries in this part, you want to remember that, I believe, because you cannot remember all the organization. Just have to remember that it's a US-led. US, UK, Saudi Arabia, Australia, Albania is there, Albania. Okay. So UA joins new US-led Persian Gulf Maritime Security Mission. Okay. Next is US to open a Greenland consulate. So we know last time we have discussed in detail the desire of the Mr. Donald Trump to buy Greenland from Denmark, right? And we have seen the location of Greenland. We have seen the location of Denmark, the capital of Denmark, if you remember, right? So this particular news that Washington wants to step up its presence in the Arctic. Greenland is situated geographically important region and holds treasury trove of natural gas and rare earth metals. US opened a consulate in Greenland in 1940s after the Nazi occupation in Denmark, but closed in 1953. So now they currently started their own consulate there. Okay. Okay, so we are done with country specific news. Now I will cover some of the summits and initiatives. First is UN Special Purpose Trust Fund. It's a specific trust fund housed within the UN Secretariat. It has been established to receive, consolidate and manage the account of all the contribution and the financial transaction of the new resident coordinator system. So RC system, resident coordinator system, in a transparent and effective way. Okay. So RC system, what is RC system basically? It aims to bring together different UN agencies to improve efficiency and effectiveness of operational activities at the country level. So basically the purpose from the name itself, resident coordinator. So one who coordinates between different agency with respect to the missions in a particular country. Okay, so this particular fund. So United Nations coordination system is the highest United Nations official and the chief of United diplomatic mission in a country. It confirms as the same rank as an ambassador of a foreign state. The resident coordinator is the designated representative of UN Secretary General and the leader of United Nations country team of agency such as this. So basically, this person will be in your country and he will coordinate all the activities of different UN organization, right? Okay. So India has contributed 1 million to the UN fund. Okay. So India has contributed 1 million to the UN Special Purpose Trust Fund for the resident coordinate system, right? So that is why it is in the news. That is why we are covering it. Next is South-South and the triangular cooperation. First of all, what these cooperations are. So recently it happened in New Delhi. So first, South-South cooperation. It is a broad framework of collaboration among the countries of the South in political, economic, social, cultural, environmental and technical domains. Countries of the South, that is more or less the developing nations. Okay. The triangular cooperation is a collaboration in which the traditional donor countries and the multilateral organization facilitate the South-South initiative through provision of funding, training, management. So in this, the developing countries get the collaboration with the developed countries and the multilateral cooperation, multilateral organizations. See this one. So between developing country and developing country, this is South-South cooperation. Okay. Aiding South-South cooperation, and developed countries including Japan, if they support it, that will become a triangular cooperation, right? Very easy. So objective is to improve communication among the developing countries, leading to the greater awareness of the common problems, wider access to the available knowledge and experience, as well as the creation of new knowledge in tackling the developmental problems. Next is TIR Convention. Just one second. Yes, TIR Convention. So TIR Convention will help in the fast and easy movement of the goods across the multiple countries under the common custom documentation guarantee. For example, this is country 1, this is country 2, this is country 3, right? So for example, one vehicle originates from there. So it has to go, when it crosses the country 2, it has to face again custom check, then it crosses this again custom check, then it has to, this is a destination country. For example, someone has to go from C1 to C4, then custom check, then here again custom check. So TIR Convention, if one signs this convention, so the documentation check will be done just one point. If it is done there, then it will sail through this. You don't have to do this, don't have to do this. So it will save a lot of time and the logistics cost. So that is why India has joined this TIR Convention, United Nations Custom Convention on International Transport of Goods under the TIR coordinates in 2017. Getting my point? Very easy. So it will allow the goods to be outlined in the TIR, sealed in the load compartments. They will be sealed, and custom officials verify the coordinate and check the seals with no need of physical checking of the content, enabling shipment to pass through the countries without being opened at the borders. First, once it will be checked and then it will be certified and then you go on. The reciprocal recognition of custom control is at the heart of the convention. It enables the facilitative and the non-intrusive environment for multimodal transport of the goods through several countries, right? So it will improve the logistics cost. International trade will improve and all these things. Especially relevant for the India, when India is trying to come up with IN, International North-South Transport Corridor, Chabahar Port. We invested too much in it, right? So that is why we want to join these conventions so as to remove our transportation cost. It will give boost to our campaigns like Make in India, Startup India and all these things. So TIR enabled goods to be shipped from country of origin through transit countries to country of destination in a sealed load compartments that are controlled by custom via multilateral mutually recognized system. Okay. Next is G20 Global Smart City Alliance on Technology Governance. So along with the G7 summit that happened in Osaka, we have discussed that. G20 summit, we have already discussed that. In Osaka it happened, right? We have discussed the location of the Osaka also. So in conjunction with the G20 summit, this particular summit also happened. I want to discuss you. It's a league of 15 of the world's leading city networks and the technology governance organization that will work toward advancing the responsible and ethical use of smart city technologies. Established in 2019, and India has joined World Economic Forum's G20 Smart Summit Alliance on the Technology Governance. So remember one more thing, that it's an initiative of the World Economic Forum along with the G20. Okay, India has joined it, that is why it becomes relevant for us. Next is this new partnership for Africa developmental, for Africa's development, NEPAD. Okay, so it's an economic developmental program of African Union. This much we need to know. Started in 2000 now. So actually, from the name itself, it is very clear. Just for putting it, just for sake of covering it, we have done right. New partnership for African development. It is under the aegis of the African Union. We have done African Union in the first video of our international relation this month. Next is Cape Town Agreement. So India is shown interest to ratify the Cape Town Agreement. It is adopted by International Maritime Organization, IMO. So objective for the safety of the fishing vessel and combat illegal, unregulated and unreported fishing, IUU fishing. Last year it was in the news with respect to the FAO and WTO. So they want to reduce this IUU fishing. Okay. So Cape Town Agreement. So the treaty consists of the minimum safety measures for the fishing vessels that mirror the International Convention for the Safety of the Life at Sea, an internationally binding treaty on the safety of the merchant vessel that entered into force in 1980. So India is considering that we should join this particular, ratify this Cape Town Agreement and improve our standards itself, right? So agreement of 2012 IMO. Now the final part of our discussion, the India-centric relationship, the bilateral parts. The first is the Rupur nuclear power plant. So nuclear power plant, India is cooperating with the Russia for the establishing the nuclear power plant in the India and Russia, helping Bangladesh to set up its nuclear power plant, right? So Bangladesh has signed a deal with Russia for the supply for uranium for 2400 megawatt Rupur nuclear power plant. Under the deal, Russia will supply the nuclear fuel for the cycle, and India will help it in the construction process. Okay, in the Rupur, in the Pabna district of the Bangladesh on the river Padma, right? So a tripartite agreement signed at Moscow, Russia, and between Russia, Bangladesh and India. It will be built by Russian State Atomic Energy Corporation, and Hindustan Construction Company was awarded the contract for the Rupur nuclear power plant. So India will be helping in the construction, and Russia will be helping in the mostly the nuclear part of the nuclear power plant. Next thing is new partnership, new passage to India. New passage to India. So new passage to India is with respect to the DARD program. Okay, DARD program. So DARD program is a German program. One of many of my friends have received this DARD scholarship to go and have internship and go and have further studies in Germany. Okay, so basic premise of the DARD program, a new passage to the India. Germany needs more academics with a specialist knowledge of the India. Launched in 2009, the scheme provides support to the university staff and the students. So basically, with respect to that, what they are saying, that you see here, a new passage to India, and agreed to take steps to increase the number of Indian students studying in Germany, which presently stand at around 21,000, and the number of German students studying in India. So basically, people to people participation increasing it, right? And this will be through students, right? So if the question comes, new passage to India has been in the news with respect to which country? So answer will be Germany. Next is Motihari Amlekganj pipeline. So this pipeline basically, this pipeline, from the name itself, Motihari, near the Nepal border, soil pipeline from India to Nepal, first transnational petroleum pipeline from India, first South Asian oil pipeline corridor, and the first pipeline in the Nepal. First oil pipeline in the Nepal. So this particular pipeline is being from Motihari in India to Amlekganj in the Nepal. Okay, 69-kilometer pipeline runs from Bihar's Motihari to Nepal's Amlekganj, and this much money, and this will be done. It will reduce the pump price of Nepal, prevent pilferage and adulteration, uninterrupted supply during the blockades and steer. And this is really important, especially in the context of the Madhesi blockade in 2014. Next is some Kashmir related news. So it was in too much in news, Jammu and Kashmir and the UNC resolution. So UNC resolution 47 on Kashmir. So this 47 resolution of Kashmir was adopted in 1948. Concerns the resolution of Kashmir conflict, The resolution recommended a 3-step process for the resolution of Kashmir dispute. So 3-step process they have made for the Kashmir, right? So first step is the basic problem. So Pakistan was asked to withdraw. The first step, the Pakistan was asked to withdraw all its nation from the Kashmir. So first Pakistan will withdraw. Then India will reduce its forces to reduce the minimum level required for the law and order. And third step, India was asked to appoint a plebiscite administered by the United Nations that will conduct a free and impartial plebiscite. So in the first step, Pakistan will withdraw. In second step, India will withdraw. Third step, the plebiscite will happen, right? So these are the 3 steps. However, nobody has agreed to it. That Pakistan said, why should we first withdraw? India says that Pakistan has not withdrawn, so why we withdraw? And after the Shimla Agreement, all this Shimla Agreement, remember, 1972, this all put to rest. That now what is the need of all these things, right? So that is now put to rest. A related news with respect to that, it was in the news, Dixon Plan of, it mentioned in the Hindu and other newspaper, Dixon Plan of 1950. So Owen Dixon was an Austrian jurist chosen by the United Nations to mediate between India and Pakistan on the J&K issue. So it has recommended that the plan had assigned Ladakh to India and northern areas, and Pakistan occupied Kashmir to Pakistan, besides splitting the Jammu between the two. It is proposed the plebiscite in the Kashmir Valley. So do you think it will be agreed by India? Answer is no. They will say that how can you provide this area to the Pakistan because it is a part of the sovereign India. And when he got excited, so he visited Kashmir and proposed a summit. He said that statewide plebiscite not possible, right? So finally, he lost his patience and declared it a failure. Okay, so this much is the Kashmir news. Next is automatic identification system. So this system we are finalizing with France. Okay, so India and France are finalizing this particular automatic identification system. Formalize the developmental and the launch system of AIS, a unique constellation of around 100 low Earth orbit satellite that will provide maritime surveillance and the security special focus on the Indian Ocean region. I told you in the previous videos of international relation that new paradigm is Indo-Pacific, Indian Ocean region, right? So Indian Ocean region is really critical to the international scene. Okay, so automatic identification system is being done by the India and France, right? Okay, the last news we're going to discuss is the Baltic Nations. It's more of a location news rather than international affairs. So our Prime Vice President has included a tri-national visit to the Baltic nation of Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia. So just about the Baltic nations, so geographically termed, typically used to group of 3 sovereign states in the northern Europe on the eastern coast of the Baltic Sea. Okay, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania do not form an official union but engage in the intergovernmental and parliamentary cooperation. So they are not a formal group so as to say. The more important area of cooperation between these 3 countries are foreign security policy, defense, energy. Part of they themselves, these Baltic nations are part of the European Union, NATO, Eurozone and OECD as well. Classified as high income economies by the World Bank and maintain a very high in HDI. Okay, so it was India has made a diplomatic outreach to these countries, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania. If we talk about this is the Baltic Sea. If we consider the capitals, so quickly we'll see. So for Estonia is Tallinn, for Latvia is Riga, and for Lithuania it is Vilnius. Okay, and just read it once, see the video once, revise it once, and that's all. If it comes in the paper, you have the high probability of getting it right? So with this, we come to our end of our international weekend. Our session 3 comes to our end. We've discussed part 1, international relation, and the part 2 about the other news with respect to international relation, right? Okay, thank you. Now we'll begin in the next session 4 with economy. Thank you.